Hello, everybody out there in internet land. Welcome to the Option Quarantine concert series, sponsored by Experimental Sound Studio. We are very excited to have my fellow Chicagoan, the great drummer, educator, awesome person, Isaiah Spencer. Hello, Isaiah.
Bonjour, comment allez-vous ce soir?
How are you,
No,
man?
I'm good. I'm all right, man. What's going on, Daisy? The
You know,
doctor,
just hanging out in Evanston.
the
wishing I had
sound gardener
wishing I
himself.
had more gigs.
Shit. No, you don't. You doing exactly what you are, a one-man motherfucking band. You doing exactly what you supposed to be doing.
Well, thank
Take
you.
your show on the road,
Yep.
pack your shit up, and you fucking sound garden. That is what's up.
I appreciate that. So we're gonna get into some stuff tonight. I felt like I've known you so long that there's so many things we can get into, and I know we're probably only gonna scratch the surface, but we'll get to what we can get to. But you sent some amazing videos with Lionel Freeman, who is totally new to me. I didn't know anything about Brother L, and I'm watching it, and it's totally burning. And before we get into this first video, can you talk a little bit about Lionel? Where'd you meet him? How long you
Well,
guys?
man, I met Brother L. Um, I've met him before, but I really got to know him. We did a project with Ernest Dawkins and some
Okay.
musicians from Soweto, the
Yeah.
Soweto project, Soweto Inglewood Exchange, actually. That is out on iTunes and out on Spotify right now. We want our land back. But anyway, we did an album, and he happened to be a part of the album. And as that process went on, I have a group called the Sample, which is this is just kind of the 66.6% of the group. But anyway, so we started playing and networking, and we know a lot of the same people, so forth and whatnot. And, we're into a lot of the same things. He's more of a sound, he does a lot of his own electronic music and has a couple of his own albums out on fucking Bandcamp and other things. He has his own non for profit, the Beat Bank, for where
Yep.
he works with children. So man, he's an amazing brother, man. I'm blessed to have him in the circumference and for us to cross paths. But he's an amazing musician, amazing craftsman, you know, and just yeah, it's been a pleasure working with him. We've been working together. Let's see, this is growing on what year? Even if you take out the pandemic, it would
Yeah.
be it would be it would be about 2.5 years.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a serious chemistry, man. Really, really. Like I had no idea what you were going to send me. When I saw this, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. Like I knew it was going to be good. Why don't we get into the first video and then lots of stuff we can
Absolutely.
talk about. So this first piece, what's the title of this first piece? I have my titles here.
Uh,
Shapes and Shades and Shapes.
oh, with shades and shapes within a frame. Yes.
Shades and Shapes within a frame. And before we start this first piece, was there a strategy? Did you guys go in and just improvise, or did you have kind of a basic melodic idea, a framework, or anything, or was it more just pure improvisation?
Well, to be honest, it was more pure improvisation. We went to what we did is we showed up, talked a lot of shit, and we was like, "Hey man," I was like, "Man, just start running through." I was like, "Man, don't worry about loading nothing new," because he's like, "Oh man, we know we can load up something." I'm like, "Man, just run through your shit and see what you got."
Yeah, yeah,
And we ran through some things, and we experimented here, experimented with there, and then we hit one, and then we just would go with it.
yeah, right.
So it was literally like throwing dart, like throwing one, boop, meow, boop, meow, step right there, right there.
Yeah.
Meow. You know how this shit go, Daisy. Sometimes you throw that shit out there like poof meow, poof meow, and
Yeah,
then you just hit one, and then it's just like yeah, and then
totally. Yeah, and then you try to do it again, and it's like, nope. Then you got to wait a few more times, and you hit it again. Yep.
it can't be replicated, man. We couldn't play this shit the same way. We played, and the funny thing is, we played this particular one. I played it a couple of different ways because I played, before we came, I came with this idea because we actually had knocked out the other three videos and came back to this one
Okay, cool.
because we started out with it and we had so many different ways. We just like, I fuck it. Just make a long story short. So, yeah, it took a couple of runs because there's so many different ways that I can play this.
Yeah,
And when we do stuff like this in my other group, the samples, that's
yeah,
what we do. We can take a lot of these samples and we work them, and I can play them other ways. Like I could take the drums out and go percussionist, or have him implement an orator over an oratory speech over what we're doing. So that's another thing about Brother L. He provides me with a lot of angles and different things that I can incorporate.
Sure, a lot of possibilities.
So anyway, enough talking. Get to the
music. It's all good, man. We're gonna do a lot of talking, but we gotta get to the music too. So let's check out this first piece with Lionel Freeman and our guest Isaiah Spencer on Option. We'll see you in a minute, everybody.
Enjoy, people. Thank you. And played a little bit with Jimmy Vaughn too.
Wow, really? Fantastic.
We did a festival. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is this? 2020? Yeah, 20. So probably about 20.
I think we're back. We're back. Hold up. I think we're back. Are we back? Okay. Hey everyone, we're back. Isaiah Spencer. Option every Monday. And next week will be the last one for a couple months. So definitely come back next week. Great artist, Claire Rousset. But let's get back to this. That was Burning. Fantastic. Tell us about that rolling electronic drum you were playing with your hands.
Oh man, that's the SBT. I think that's the 20 or 10. It's the was that second generation rolling, man. It's just the it's basically like a drum machine,
Mhm.
and it's got a
Yeah,
bunch of presets in it, but it gives you the options and the opportunities to be able to muffle things,
yeah, totally.
change tuning, change the attack. You can change the attack on the pads with the random patches and all those different things. So it really adds an extra element to my playing, but just to the things that I like to do. You know.
Yeah, the way you incorporated it was really, really tasteful, and it really added a lot to the music. So it was really, really nice piece, Isaiah.
All right, Roland. I hope you're listening.
There's so much we can talk about. But one thing I want to make sure I don't mess this up because your connection with Fred Anderson is something I would like to talk a little bit about, if that's okay with you.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
because we're roughly the same age, and I think we were kind of both coming up in Chicago roughly around the same time. And I know the Velvet Lounge is a place that I used to go to a lot, and I heard you play there a ton. And I've always heard Fred Anderson with Hamid, right? Makes total sense. They played all the time together, and I mean, Fred was like a father to Hamid, and it's beautiful. Their connection was amazing. And then one time I went to hear Fred with you at the MCA, and it was outside. It was one of those outside MCA concerts. And I was blown away because it was a real lesson to me in how just one person can really like change the approach of the music. Let me try to put this let me try to explain this in a good way. I've heard Fred so many times with Hamid, and having you in the mix changed his playing for the better. It just knocked things around. It was a really good like lesson to me, and how just having one new person in a band could radically alter the musical landscape. And it was beautiful. And I was wondering if you wanted to just talk about how you met Fred, and maybe just how you started playing with him.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I met Fred. I actually met Fred because well, a couple of people I have to give a couple of people props for meeting Fred. Matna Roberts is one because at the time this was when Matna and Chad and Josh Abrams and Jim Baker were running the session at the Velvet.
I remember that. Yep. Yep.
Exactly. So that's around 97, 98 ish, 99, somewhere around there, 98. Like
Yeah.
99, 98, 99 ish. So anyway, they was always, mine was like, hey, you guys come down to the Velvet. And my boy Aaron Getsu, who
Yeah. Mhm.
really good saxophonist, baritone player, great teacher in his own right. Anyway, so, he was already on the scene because he was around before we were. Him and Norman were playing with Ernest and those guys every Saturday night at the Velvet. Funny enough. But anyway, make a long story short, they introduced us to come into the session. So that was my first introduction to Fred and just coming to the sessions every night and so forth and whatnot. And then Matna moved
Yeah.
and so did Chad actually. Chad
Yeah.
stopped doing it.
Right.
And so Josh stuck around, but Dennis Winsley started running the session. So anyway, blank, blank, blank. So I would always be at the session. We all went to the session. Myself,
Oh,
Corey Wilkes. I mean, that was Velvet was a cutting place. Cutting seat was the cutting edge place for all of us. Myself, Maurice Brown, Corey Wilkes, Kevin Neighbors, Mario Abney. We go down the list. Yourself, Ken Vandermark, Kent Kessler. I
yeah.
mean, we
Yeah.
could keep going down the list of cats that the Velvet, Aram, Shelton,
Oh
and
man.
all
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
guys. All
Yeah.
those cats that was
Yeah.
around, you know what I'm saying, back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Missouri, when he used to play at the Velvet and all those cats, Nick Nicole Mitchell. It's
Oh,
just on and on. So anyway, as do all these processes, I got cool. I would sit with Fred, and Fred would always have the music playing. And Fred was the type of cat, he would, if he saw that you was into it and he saw that you was quote unquote, I don't want to say worthy, but if he saw that you were really somebody that was really into it, that was going to carry it, that was going to that he trusted, Fred would let you in. And so anyway, he would, we would sit down and we would talk after gigs and talk after the session. And, Fred would talk about, his incessant, I mean, you'd always talk about Bird. That's how I really figured out that
Love
Fred
Bird.
was a Bird disciple all day long. Don't you ever disrespect Bird. And there's a funny story about that, but I ain't gonna get into that right now. But anyway, so and then slowly through this process, Fred, he would go down to the club on in the mornings to open up, to serve drinks for the other cats, for the workers and shit, and so blah 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 blah. And he would go down there and practice. So one day he's just like, say, man, if you ain't doing nothing tomorrow morning, whatever, I practice every morning, come on down. And so for like, man, about a year straight, I would go down there. I would go down there on Monday mornings, about 9-ish.
Yeah.
We would play till about 11:30 because he would open up for the workers about 11:30. Try to be open by noon. But and so that relationship just grew and grew, and then he called me for a gig. And I was like, I'm not really, and to be, I wasn't even really sure what to play. I've heard I meet in this situation a million times.
Yeah.
I even went through I can't even front. I even went through my phase where I was trying to, play like Hamid.
Yeah.
And I asked Hamid, man, like, man, how do you play with Fred, man? And Fred, and Hamid was some old shaman. Brother, you just gotta, anyway. But so, and I'm just like, okay, and then I figured it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So our relationship grew, but to figure out Fred was like, it was like musical hitchhiking.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's the way I've always explained to people. It's like musical hitchhiking. Getting to, like, Fred can start here, and this can get there, and he can shift. And because of the way that Fred played, it was so open-ended. Like we just talked about that earlier when we weren't talking about that counting stuff.
Yeah.
So it was more about finding finding the algorithm. And once you find it, you catch it and you ride it. Fred would throw a bunch of shit out there. You wasn't gonna catch everything that Fred played.
And you didn't have to catch everything. You didn't have
no, because sometimes Fred would throw so much shit out. Like I said, it's like hitchhiking. Yeah. It's like stick your hand up here, yeah. And then one of them motherfuckers you catch, or you slow down, or they slow down just enough for you to catch it, and you ride it as far as they're gonna take you. Yeah. And then when they get tired, they'll let you know when they're done. Yeah. Sometimes Fred can ride that shit for, anyway. So
I got you totally, man. Yeah.
And it just grew from that, so
beautiful, man. What an amazing human being. I mean, wow. I am so lucky to have got to meet him. Like, wow. Like,
Fred is the man.
Rounds for Fred, man. You were in New York for a while, right, Isaiah? You went out east for a little while. And before we get into, I do have a couple of questions connected to like differences between working and living in New York and Chicago. But I want to ask you, as someone that's been in New York and Chicago, what is it about the Chicago saxophone sound that makes it because you hear Von Freeman, you hear Fred, even though stylistically they're like Von's, you would say Von might be more of a hard bop guy than Fred. That'd be fair enough, even though you don't want to put people in categories.
It's
kind of in those circles, right?
But
they still have something to their sound, even if Fred's playing in a more quote unquote free context. What is it about the Chicago or Gene Ammons? Like, what is it about the Chicago tenor sound that makes it the Chicago tenor sound? Like, there's probably lots of things, but I just would love to hear your take on it.
Well, I mean, here as opposed to other places, like you got to throw some love for Detroit too, and and even Cleveland at one point, and St. Louis, and a lot of the Midwestern cities, because you got some great tenor saxophones that have come from all of them. Nonetheless, what makes Chicago tenor sound what it is the fact that we play the blues here. It's a different perspective. So there's a different edge to how tenor players play. And then a lot of these tenor players that we grew up listening to or that are here now, a lot of them at some point, other than we can probably say like Fred or somebody like that, they all played in like R&B bands.
Right. Totally.
Blues bands. So, they had the blow. But the blues, in the sound is what really makes Chicago tenor what it is. And as Larry Smith used to say, it's a tenor town. It's a tenor town.
Oh my God, Larry Smith. Woo, WPC.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Chicago tenor sound.
Oh, swinging all night. Yeah, Larry Smith.
Swinging all night. But no, so all of those cats historically, listen to all of them, man. They were on. Then you think about all the other, great, great tenor saxophonists that have, that have come around. You know what I mean? Like Duke Payne. You can cast me even talking about like a Duke Payne. And R.E. Brown.
Oh yeah.
Who played with Elvin for fucking 12, 13 years.
Yep.
R.E. Brown. And, and of course, like we said, Vaughn. And Johnny Griffin. I mean, Johnny Griffin is the guy that made Vaughn sound famous, as they say.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you really listen to a young Vaughn and you go back and listen to Johnny, it really opens your ears to some shit.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is that Johnny was just so technically fucking proficient.
Yeah, right.
In terms of how and just a master of fucking up-tempo shit.
Oh, unbelievable.
Like all of that shit is, anyway. But yeah, so Chicago, we got the blues in our sound. And that's all of us. Yeah. Not just the Smith players.
Yeah, totally. Well, hey, let's get to another video. I got a bunch of other stuff we can talk about, but I want to get to some more music and we'll come back. This is our guest, the great drummer, the great Chicago drummer, Isaiah Spencer, on the Option series at Experimental Sound Studio. Hit the donate link. Donate, all the money goes straight to the artist. Please do that if you can. And we're going to hit another video with Lionel Freeman and Isaiah Spencer, and we'll be back in a little bit. So we'll see you then.
Thank you all.
All right, everybody out there in internet land, that was Lionel Freeman and Isaiah Spencer here at the Option Series. Isaiah, let's talk about your background. You started on trumpet, didn't you? You went to elementary school at Metairie?
Manierre, George Manierre Elementary.
Pronouncing it wrong. Yep.
Oh, you're all good, man. Yeah, I did, but I actually was playing the drums first. But in
Okay.
order to get into the school band, I couldn't play the drums, so I had to play the trumpet. So that's how I started with the trumpet, and I played that for about 3 years
Okay.
before I can get to the drums. I played a couple other things before I settled on the trumpet. I messed around with the saxophone and the trombone and the clarinet, but yeah, I settled on the trumpet. Trumpet is actually it's a cool instrument. It's very percussive in its own.
Yeah,
So.
indeed.
But anyway,
Did
so
you
I
ever,
got to the drums.
yeah. Did you come from a musical family? Why did you choose the drums? Did they come to you, or what was the scene? What was the scene like growing up with music?
Question. Well, no, I don't come from a very musical family. I got exposed to the drums through my god sister, Miss Gladys Horton. I used to go to church with her every Sunday, and she was she still plays, but not as much. She's the police now. But anyway, nonetheless,
right? Yeah.
yeah, she's the police. She's the county sheriff out there in San Jose now. But anyway, I really got the love from the drums from being around her and dabbling in between church services and not even being long enough to reach the pedals. I was 4 years old, so I got exposed to the drums from through my relationship with my god sister, and it just kind of it just morphed and slowly developed. Like I said, I was able to get to the drums in the band in like 7th grade.
Okay.
So then that's when my teacher recommended me for merit and so forth and whatnot and blah blah this. And then 8th grade, of course, this that and the other. I was in merit again, and and then high school after that. But yeah, that's how it all started from there, all in church.
Beautiful. And who were some early teachers? And it doesn't have to be specific to drums, or who are some people when you were getting more serious about music who kind of like maybe got you more interested and maybe really thinking about dedicating your life to it, which you have done? Like, is there any particular mentor that kind of took you under his wing, or is it more like a set of different people, like different experiences, combination probably?
Well, I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound too funny, but
Yeah,
those who know me,
yeah,
especially me growing up, I've always wanted to be a musician. That's
yeah.
like I've never, I had a chance to play pro baseball. I messed my arm up, but I've always wanted to be a musician. So it was never really a matter of a musician or a particular mentor having to take me and say, do you. I've always wanted to do it. Now, what the great thing about the mentors I've had, now they've of course reinforced that. Obviously, you can't get you're not gonna take it away from me. But what they did teach me is how to be a working musician, how to be professional, how to carry yourself, how to study the music, how much you have to study the music, how to study the instrument. How to look outside and study other things. And I've had I'm fortunate, because I grew up in an era where a lot of the greats were still around. I've studied with Ralph Peterson. I've studied with Kenny. I've studied with Greg Hutchinson. I studied with Wilbur Campbell. I studied, studied with Hamid. I've studied with Gabrielle. And I've studied with Ernie Adams, and the list goes on and on. Another great early influence in my life, as well as many other cats that was on the scene. Dr. Curtis Prince, me and Charles Heath, another great drummer here, as you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
We both came up under we both came up under the tutelage of Dr. Prince, and so did actually Chris Robb. Chris Robb, who's an amazing piano player out of here, who lives in New York, works for Stevie Wonder, all these different cats now.
Sure. Yeah.
Actually, his brother is Craig Robinson, the comedian guy. Anyway, but point being, so that I've had some great teachers here and beyond, but they've always been very stern. And I mean, like I said, even on other instruments, Vaughn and Fred and Jimmy Ellis, all of these great elders who were still around. Back then, Junie Vaughn, who's an amazing vocalist, ran a session down at City Life.
City Life, 83rd and Cottage Grove. I used to go down there with my friend Cameron Fiffner. He was on that gig.
Cameron is another cat. I'm glad you brought him up. I remember when Cameron was around, when Cameron was more of a zoot suit guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Beautiful cat, man. And the drummer, William Bugs Cochran.
And he used to play with Sun Ra.
Yeah. And he told me this story. I was listening to him play at the City Life, and he goes, "Yeah, Sun Ra kept wanting me to go on tour with his band, but I had a family in Chicago. I didn't want to leave." And Sun Ra got frustrated with me and was like, "Okay, Bugs, when it's time for me to go to Saturn, I'm not taking you with me, man." he wanted him to go on tour so bad with him, but man, what a great drummer! What a great drummer! Wow, that's man. Wow.
Yeah, when Sun Ra was playing bebop, man.
Yeah, and writing arrangements for, who was he writing arrangements for? Fletcher Henderson, or am I getting that wrong? Is it somebody else? He was writing arrangements.
I think it was Fletcher Henderson. I think that's who. I think it might have been who he was writing for. I don't exactly quote me on that either. I'm not sure.
Yeah. It was some heavyweight like that. He was like writing arrangements. Yeah, amazing, man. Like, wow. And the people that came through his band, incredible, man. Totally incredible.
I mean, John Gilmore never left the side, man. John Gilmore turned down multiple gigs to stay with Sun Ra. He turned down a gig. He turned down the Miles gig. He turned down the Blakey gig.
Wow. Yeah, he wanted to be with Sun Ra.
With him with Blakey. Jazz at 625. That stuff with Lee Morgan where they playing like the Egyptian and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But man, he turned down that gig because he didn't want to be Sun Ra, man. He stayed with Sun Ra till he died.
Amazing.
I actually got a chance to play with Marshall with Marshall and Kenny and all those cats, man. So I did something with Marshall Allen a few years ago.
He's 98 now. How old is he now? He's still killing it.
He's like 90. It's like sound all right, 97, 98, somewhere around there, mid 90s. But
so
yeah,
inspiring, man. Super inspiring. Still working, still creating. Speaking of inspiration, man, Roy Haynes. 96 now, 97, something like this. And okay, maybe he's not hitting as hard as he was when he was younger, but he's still hitting, man. And it's just so inspiring, man.
Hey, man, Roy Haynes hitting, man. I don't know if you've been listening. Yeah, he hit.
Beautiful.
But like this, ain't none of them other cats. None of them. And there's no disrespect to none of the cats. You know what I'm saying? Before. None of them hitting like that. And I saw it one of Elvin's last performances.
Yeah, I did too. Yep.
Yeah, when they had to usher him up on the man, I felt so bad, man, because I seen Elvin one time when I was a kid, and that shit fucked me up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Roy Haynes to still be hitting at his age and doing what he did, that shit is fucking amazing, man. That dude, and the fact that he still just is crafty.
Yeah.
Man, have you go watch some of the videos that have been posted or some of that shit? This dude's 95, 96, 97, and he's still playing that duple. And then he'll take his foot off the hi-hat and just play that. And it's like, oh, stop! Like, how are you still doing this? What? I mean, not in a bad way, but like, how in the fuck? What in the fuck? Like, what do I need to do to get to that point?
Yeah, I think it's kind of out of our hands at that point, man. He was just touched by some cosmic force, man, and it is what it is. And we'll just keep doing our stuff and be thankful that we got to see him play, man. What an amazing.
He's got great lineage because Marcus Gilmore is one bad motherfucker, man.
Yeah, he's a great musician. You're absolutely correct.
Bad motherfucker, man.
Hey, let me ask you one more question before we go to another video. Speaking of going back to New York. Yeah. When did you move to New York, and how long did you stay there?
Man, I stayed about a year, and that was what, 2012, 2013?
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like when you got there? Where were you going? Were you going to Smalls? Were you going to the Vanguard? What were you doing when you got there?
Oh, when I got there, man, actually, funny enough, the first night I got there, man, shit, there's a picture of me on Facebook. I'm sitting there with Mike King, another great piano player from here who moved out there, and Johnny O'Neill, who's the all-time great, played with Blakey and all the cats, and one of the baddest motherfuckers still around. Detroit cat, see, Midwest shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but point being, so the first night I got there, everybody, and because even more crazy, when I moved there, Chris McBride moved there, and so did Ben Patterson.
Okay.
And of course, Ben Patterson is from that area, so he stayed, and Chris is still there, because Chris went to Queens and got his master's and so forth. So anyway, here nor there, I mean, I went to Smalls. The Smalls was, of course, the spot, and the reason I moved to New York because I knew a lot of cats there. I still do. So that was the first place I went, and then of course, I hung out in the village all night to what, 6 in the morning, and then we walked over to fucking Waverly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And fucking had, talking shit. And, so some of my first gigs, I did a couple gigs with Johnny O'Neill out there. Gerald Cannon, who's actually a very good friend, an amazing bassist. I'm pretty sure you know who the hell he is. He's played with Roy Hargrove, played with Elvin, played with McCoy, everybody and their mama. But he was a really good help in leading me into some situations to play with different cats and a lot of different things. And and then I got a chance to play with Cyrus Chestnut for a little bit.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, yeah.
That definitely helped with things. But the reason I came back to Chicago, I was working for a great non-for-profit then, and due to the other governor we had, Mr. Rauner, when he started freezing funds and decided to go nuclear. I'm just going to freeze everything. Anyway, that got dissolved. So I ended up working back with the archdiocese and teaching in schools. And then Nick Meyer approached me from New Trier, who runs the music department up there, at least the jazz department, and approached me about working there. And so that's how I ended up in New Trier. And I work with the younger bands, and I work with the freshman ensemble, but I work with the intermediate band and the top ensemble and teach drum lessons. And then I also, I'm a big advocate for the youth. So I work for another non-for-profit, Youth Guidance. They work in the schools. So I'm a big advocate for working with at-risk youth. Because I'm from the inner city. I grew up in Cabrini Green or in that area. So that's really big on my heart, and that's one of the ways I use drumming from a therapeutic perspective and healing perspective and a creative standpoint. Because one of the biggest issues we have, and I'm not going to talk too long because I know we got to get to the next joint, but one of our biggest issues in the community is that we don't have enough outlets to create. That's why it manifests into violence. Yeah. It's been said on a multitude of levels, but the problem is we don't get a lot of these kids to create. So a lot of these things, they morph into other things.
They got bottled up energy. They have nowhere to get out of it. Got to get their energy out. Yeah, totally. No outlet. Totally.
And then it becomes habitual, and then they start to become. It's just like if you put a plant in a fucking toxic environment. It don't care how great the plant is and how strong it is. It's going to eventually absorb those toxins and take on its environment. But we don't have just case in point. We don't create enough. So using that as a stimulus to create. And it's not about how good you are. It's about being able to create something that you can call your own, and that you can say that you have created, something that you can birth and nurture. Just that's based on your life experience. I don't care if it is a trap beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And community outreach. It's like, what a beautiful gift you're giving back to the
important, man.
It's super important, man. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get back to another video, and then we'll come back to some conversation. This is our guest, Isaiah Spencer, great drummer, community activist, great person, and look forward to seeing you in person sooner than later, now that we're slowly getting out of this crazy pandemic. Another video, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more with Isaiah Spencer. This is the Experimental Sound Studio Option Series, Option Quarantine Concerts, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you all. Enjoy.
All right, everyone, we're back with Isaiah Spencer, another beautiful duo piece with Lionel Freeman. Do you guys have a recording? Like, other than these awesome recordings that you just made for the option performance, have you guys recorded together as a duo?
Nope, but we're working on it.
You should. Yeah, do
We
it.
are.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. Good.
we got some things up. We got some things up our sleeve.
Good. Great,
We got a
man.
YouTube channel coming and a bunch of other stuff. So just keep, as the young folks would say, keep my name in your mouth. Keep my name in your mouth. You dig? You heard me? No, stop.
Hey, I want to ask you about another great musician that you play with a lot, the great bassist Junius Paul. We had him on option earlier in the season. Tremendous musician.
Yeah.
And I was checking out this record Ism that you play on some of the tracks. And it was a track with Jim Baker and you and Junius at the Comfort Station.
Oh, Baker's dozen.
It's yes, so killing, man, because I've heard Baker in a lot of contexts, but I've never heard Jim Baker in this particular style of groove that this particular piece was in. And he was playing art, and it was like Captain Beefheart on steroids, man. It was so burning, man. When did you meet Junius? When did you start working with him? Because he is a musician. You guys got such a great hookup, and you can tell you guys play together so well that I'm sure you've played together for years, worked together for years in multiple contexts, because it really just feels like a supernatural relationship. Talk about Junius, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah. Man, can't say enough about Mr. Paul, man. Junius, man, I'm so proud of that dude, man. I mean, I've known Junius from way back when, like when because Junius and Justin Dillard actually came around the same time.
Okay.
And they actually were in the house band at the Velvet with Dennis and Kobe. Actually, when Jim Baker left and Josh Abrams left. A couple of other bass players had filled that space, but Junius and Justin ended up being the guys to fill that space. So I met Junius around that time, and through that connection, Junius slowly, we slowly developed a friendship and a bond, and it ended up leading to us working together a lot with Corey, and then a lot of other situations. And then that slowly led us to working with Ernest in a lot of different contexts, and so many other different facets, man. I mean, like I said, I've seen Junius come from way back in the day. Like I said, Junius is on one of these DVDs with Vaughn fucking almost 20 years ago. Junius was like 19 or 20, man. He was super greenhorn. So, but my point is that, yeah, man, Junius's his evolution into the amazing musician and even more of a beautiful human being that he is really humbling. Yeah. And to know that we've been able to share that path and be able to share these musical bonds, relationships, and moments. It's really, I don't want to say unprecedented, but it is. But it's just moments that I don't forget. Like I said, I've traveled the world with Junius. We've been all through Western Africa. We've been all through Europe.
Yeah.
We've been in some pretty interesting situations together. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like Junius is I like, so Junius that's my brother, and or one of them, like literally, we literally Junius is a little younger than me, but we pretty much have grown, almost step by step in this music. I mean, of course, like I said, I'm a little older and I've been around a little longer, but just to watch how Junius has come from there. I mean, Junius is the premier cat in Chicago now. He's got the gig with the Art Ensemble. He got the gig with D. Alexander. He's got his own gig. Yeah. He's got the gig with Micaiah McCraven.
Yeah.
Junius is the
cat, man. Totally, man. Yeah.
He has filled the void that, our predecessors, the great Malachi and Fred Hopkins and all of the great bassists that we have had to come out of here. Harrison Bankhead and so forth and so on. So Junius, he just slid right in and continued on the lineage, man. And I can't be more proud. We can talk about Junius all night, man. But, you know what I mean? But seriously, man, I'm really proud. He's an amazing musician, man. Like I'm fortunate to be able to have worked and to be
We
working.
continue to. Yeah, I look forward to hearing you guys live again in multiple contexts once we get out of this. Well, actually, as we get out of this mess.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. So
It's coming.
we're slowly running out of time, unfortunately. But I wanted to ask you before we watched the last video, what do you got coming up in the future? Do you have some tours on the books? Any gigs coming up now that we're slowly opening things back up?
I don't have any tours on the books until 2022 officially yet.
Yeah.
But if you really want to check me out, I got quite a few things going on. Thursday, I'll be at Fulton Street Collective doing the straight ahead thing.
Okay.
And with the Trumpet Summit, which is myself. It's a rotating band, but on this particular subscription, it's myself, great Julius Tucker, another great young, amazing musician on piano, Christian Dillingham, another world-renowned bassist, classical, straight ahead, whatever you want. He's the man. My Corey Wilkes, who we just brought up earlier, great trumpeter. Ryan Neither, another great trumpeter. And Quentin Coxum, another great trumpeter and educator. So that's Thursday. Friday and Saturday, I'll be at Andy's doing the straight ahead thing with my own group with the organ trio. Friday night, it'll be myself, the great Pete Benson on the B3.
Oh my God,
he's fame and so forth and whatnot, and his own thing. And then another great young alto saxophonist out here, Brent Griffin Jr. I work with him a lot, seen a lot of videos with myself and Brent. So Brent is an amazing player. Anyway, so it'll be him. And then Saturday night, it'll be another great young alto player, Leonard Simpson. Just got back here from the Monk Institute and so forth and whatnot. And he plays with Kurt Eller from time to time, but it'll be him and the other great organ player around here, Dan Chase. So it'll be that Friday and Saturday. Let's see. Oh, and then in July, I'll be doing a series of concerts in the park along with the South Shore Dance Company. With the Isaiah Spencer Collective, myself, Jumani Taylor, Isaiah Collier, Brent Griffin Jr., and Anton Hatridge.
Anton, my old roommate. Love that cat, man. Wow.
Hat, that's my man. That's Boomhauer right there, man.
Yeah, he's a beautiful cat, man. Wow.
That's
man,
Boomhauer, man.
It's so nice to hear these things are happening again, man. It makes me so happy.
And I'm starting my yard series back up.
What's that?
And I'll be getting the In the Yard series started in a couple weeks.
Beautiful. Really?
Series right out in my yard.
Really? Good. I'll be looking out for that as well. Man, Isaiah, it's an absolute pleasure, man. An absolute pleasure to catch up. I look forward to seeing you in person very soon. But before we go, man, talk to me about that Jimi Hendrix photo because it looks like he's playing a drum set, man. What's that Jimi Hendrix photo?
Yeah, let me just do you one better.
It looks like he's playing a drum set, man. Oh my God, Jimmy on the drums. That is like.
That's
so
the famous.
Burning. You know he was a great drummer. I'm sure of it, right? Left-handed.
I heard he was actually all right.
Yeah, totally. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's the great. That's the great. You know what I mean? That's Jimi Hendrix right there, man. But yeah, that's the great picture of him playing the drums. I went off that. Someone for like $20.
Wonderful, man.
Somebody had already canvassed it, and they were selling it for $20 on Facebook Marketplace.
There it is, man. You got it. Jimmy on the drums. What's wrong with that? Thanks so much, Isaiah. Before we watch the last video, I also just want to say thank you to Experimental Sound Studio, who have been doing an amazing job during this whole pandemic and before the pandemic. And after the pandemic, continue to do an amazing job hosting online concerts and hopefully in-person concerts once again. Thanks to my fellow curators, Andrew Klinkman and Ken Vandermark, for keeping the option flame alive. And thank you so much, Isaiah. We're going to watch this last video, and this will take us out. So see you soon, my friend. And thanks for being a part of this series.
Man, thank you for having me, Tim. Much love, man.
All right, man. Anytime. All right. Beautiful.